How do you think Trump policies moving forward will impact Black people in America?
Oh, that's really a sad one because obviously this is the representative of unchecked capital, right? We have the example in Africa. There's no way we can withstand unchecked capital in Africa. That's essentially what's happening in Africa. Africans don't have the capital. They can't industrialize without the capital. So they're dependent on the outside world, and the outside world make all these conditions and take advantage of the continent. The same thing in this country. In this country, even forget Trump. Before I get back to Trump, Trump is just a symptom of what has been going on. He's just an individual. No individual can have that much power, right? He is not even one of the wealthiest in this country, right? But collectively, the so-called 1% essentially control all the wealth in this country. There's no more middle class in this country. I know a very wealthy person, and this is what he told me. He told me this maybe about 10 years ago. He's a billionaire. And he initiated this conversation, meaning it's something that he's been thinking about. He said, Milton, I think in this country, there'll be social upheavals, sustained, and possibly even a revolution. I think, why is this wealthy guy talking like this? I said, why do you say that? He said, because when I started making my money in the 1980s, there was a middle class in this country. Most people get a decent job. Once you have a decent job, you send your kids to school, have a saving, pay off your home, and retire, and you have money.
What they call it? Social safety net?
Absolutely.
That's the term?
Just think about that.
Yeah.
And he said, now people need 2-3 jobs just to survive. He said, now there's only me, talking about himself, and everybody else, which I guess includes me. And he said, you cannot sustain a country like that. You just can't. You can't cut all social spending. You can't stop investing in education, in infrastructure. All you do is tax cuts for the wealthy, right? So that nobody even talks about trickle down. That's nonsense. Everything is flowing up, right? And that's what he told me. So why? And he said one other thing. He said they think they can use the armed forces to contain the lid, but it's not going to work. So there's going to be a time where it happens multiple locations at the same time. And then what are you going to do? It's not going to work. So this is a wealthy person saying this, a billionaire. He said it may not happen in his lifetime. He was in his 80s now. Now he's early 90s. But it's possibly happened in your lifetime, told me. Think about that. So now you have a Trump. So Trump is just a symptom of something that is much, much larger. But he's doing what the very wealthy love. He promised that tax cuts to that, right? So he's going to be tax cuts. How are you going to pay for government, right? How are you going to pay? It means you're going to cut from everything else, all the social spending. So you're creating literally people that eventually may have nothing to lose. And that goes back and ties to what this wealthy individual was telling me might happen to this country. Trump only has 4 years, but if they can keep this type of policy or system ongoing, then you know what? It will more than likely end up the way this very wealthy person I know suggested might happen in this country. Because at some point, people will have nothing to lose. People are already so desperate already. Think about that. And you're talking about continuing cuts and continuing tax breaks for the very wealthy. So that's only one half of it. The other half is this. I really sincerely don't believe that the alternative is the Democratic Party either. the way it is right now. And that's part of the reason why Trump won. Because people are really disaffected, right? The Democratic Party is also essentially a party of the wealthy elite.
Facts.
Absolutely. I mean, of course, they have better policies than the Republicans, but how significantly different, right? Still, the people that are in the leadership, the people that get elected, are people that are beholden to corporate money. You see? As we speak today, I don't think that party that can really appeal to the working class and let the working class change things in this country, that party doesn't exist yet. And it's so interesting that I can actually use that to make a comparison to Africa as well. And that's why I learn so much every time I listen to Rodney. I learn something new. So there's another lecture, Crisis in the Periphery, Africa and the Caribbean. And this is one part that you say, it says, even the most progressive parties and leaders like Kwame Nkrumah in Ghana, like Julius Nyerere in Tanzania, who was a socialist. He said, at the same time, these were also, and their parties were parties of the elite. They're parties of the elite. They may be very progressive, but at the end of the day, they are parties of the elite. And what did he mean by that? He said the only change that can be done effectively if the party leadership are the working people as well.